Will the building ceremonies of the Third Temple of Solomon officially begin on Passover, April 2024? The Christian website Star Telegraph of Israel reported on July 27, 2023, that the 5 cows are being cared for and fattened to be sacrificed at the Jewish Passover ceremony, April 2024, thus marking the construction of the Third Temple. As you know, in the history of the Jewish people, there were 2 temples. Both were on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, known in Hebrew as Har Habayit. Traditionally, it's considered the place from where the earth was taken for the creation of Adam and where he subsequently offered sacrifices to God. And here, Abraham demonstrated his devotion to God by having the event with his son Isaac. The first temple, according to the Tanakh, was erected during the reign of King Solomon and destroyed by the Babylonians in the year 586 BC. It's believed that the construction of the second temple was completed 70 years after the destruction of the first in 1516 BC. It stood for almost 600 years and was destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. This was a terrible tragedy for the Jewish people. In subsequent years, most of the Jews were expelled from Judea. Since then, Jews have not stopped mourning the destruction of the Second Temple, especially on the day of the fast of the 9th Av, and cherish the dream of restoring it. But now, 2,000 years later, the Jews return to Zion. The modern state of Israel has existed for more than 70 years, and they believe it's the right time to build the temple, the Third Temple. The Jerusalem Post newspaper said September 20th, 2022, the Torah explains how the cow will be burned in front of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and its ashes mixed with holy water so that all Jews who have become impure due to the death of the soul, they can be purified with this, and the Jews will be cleansed twice with a mixture of cow ash and holy water, and once after 3 days and the second time after 7 days. And in the video of the Jewish channel 12 about the completion of the breeding of these red cows, it was mentioned that the deputy minister is the one who supervises this case. The news channel confirmed that various ministries were involved in September 2022 in efforts to achieve this dream that has haunted Jewish circles since the destruction of the Second Temple, which is represented by the finding of the red calf. Proponents of this dream are pinning their hopes on 5 red cows flown in private plane from Texas after being carefully screened and selected as suitable for the Jewish purification ritual upon entering the temple. It's known that the Jewish Passover movement, led by Ministry of National Security Itamar Ben-Gvir in the religious Zionism, led by Minister of Finance Bezalel Smotrich, are the most representative of the Jewish religion Messianic movement, which believes in the idea of the descent of the expected Savior. This Savior, according to their belief, will achieve Jewish salvation after the outbreak of the Gog and Magog war by destroying Alaska and building the temple on its ruins. This is what is seen as a condition for the descent and victory of the expected Savior, quote unquote, an idea espoused by extremist evangelicals in the United States. The religious movement Hardali Salvationist, to which Ben-Gvir and Smotrich belong, adopts the most extreme interpretation of the idea of Jewish salvation and the descent of the expected Savior, who will make the Jews the leaders of the world and build the temple on the ruins of Al-Aqsa. And these movements of religious Zionism, revolutionaries, or secularists, as they're called, see the temple, the Third Temple, as the key to solving all the problems and religious and spiritual miseries of the Jews, and see themselves as God's tool to bring the coming of the Savior closer. They also believe in accelerating the end and not waiting for the will of the Lord, as their rabbis call them, hastening the invasion of Al-Aqsa and the building of the temple, according to the study conducted by Ashraf Othman Bar, a researcher at the Al-Quds Center for Studies in Birzeit University, May 18, 2022. During a television interview with Jewish Channel 2, after arriving in the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, for the first time in 2016, Smotrich threatened to say, "We will take down Al-Aqsa and immediately build the temple, and the third temple will be built on the ruins of the mosque." Israel's TV investigation confirms the project is not only funded by evangelical settlers and rabbis, but also includes some ministries such as the Ministry of Jerusalem, which presented an engineering plan to build a park on the Mount of Olives, whose aim is to serve the rituals of the red cows in the future. But we know that the Mount of Olives is an ancient cemetery since even the tomb of King David is there. So how are they going to do that? Perhaps their most extravagant project is an intensive attempt to breed that very red heifer, the acids of which can be used to purify the unclean. He points out that millions of dollars are transferred from Israeli government agencies to organizations that finance this red cow heifer project, including the Ministries of Agriculture, Education, Religious Services, and Settlement. Not everyone wants to wait for the Messiah. Although most rabbis agree that the construction of the third temple must wait for the Messiah, some Jewish groups are trying to force things. So in Jerusalem, there's a whole Institute of the Jerusalem Temple Institute of Jerusalem. It's not shy about advocating for what many Israelis see as radicalism, replacing Dome of the Rock with a Jewish temple. And the organization's headquarters in the Old City, Jerusalem, has a mock-up of what the temple will look like, and the painting on display at the Institute's exhibition depicts a new city plan. A tram line will take residents straight to the Temple Mount. With some of the support of members of the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, and archaeologists, members of the organization are trying to achieve the expansion of the rights to visit Temple Mount, in particular the opportunity to pray and the removal of time restrictions. Representatives of the Institute are also trying to secretly read prayers on the Temple Mount, believing that this will bring the arrival of the Messiah closer. Unlike the Jews, the evangelicals in the United States, who pour money into the work of the Third Temple, believe that it will also be desecrated, and then the war of Gog and Magog, they call it Armageddon, will break out. They say that in this war, 2/3 of the earth will be destroyed, and in such a situation, chaos will prevail all over the world as a prelude to reconstruction, resurrection, and salvation according to their beliefs. This is on Soul Ask. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.